Hey there, welcome back to the Free Black Women's Library YouTube channel. This video is another Rambly reaction recap review of the new series from HBO, written, produced, directed, and starring the brilliant, gorgeous Michaela Cole, based on a true experience of something that happened to Michaela Cole. And today we're talking about episode 3 of the series. It's called Don't Forget the Sea. Okay, so Don't Forget the Sea is kind of like a flashback. It takes place 3 months before the incident, and we meet Michaela. She is in Italy working on her novel, and Terry has come to visit her in Italy, and they're gonna have a blast, right? So Michaela's staying at this really fancy villa. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom villa, and the publishing company has put her up so that she can have a quiet place to write. But what's she doing? No, she's gonna party with her best friend, Terry. Terry shows up, and as we know, Terry's an actress, and she's like, damn, this is fly, this is fly. She's gassed and maybe a tiny bit jealous. She's really annoyed that her career is not taking off, and she's like, I can't wait till I get to be in a villa and have like expenses. But either way, Terry shows up with the goods. She pulls them out of her crotch, a nice rolly, a nice baggie. They crush it up. They get some edibles popping. It looks absolutely delicious. And they get super, super high. So they are super, super high, walking around Italy, just tripping. And it's like, there's something about edibles. I mean, I'm assuming it's just edibles because they don't start doing the hard stuff till later, but either way, there's definitely something about edibles that makes you trip if you can overdo it. So it's best to just have like a tiny, tiny bit and keep it moving. But they had a whole ass meal with sausages and bread and butter, and the cooking of the weed with the butter and the sugar, it can take you there. So they're tripping out, and they end up Brooklyn. So they're tripping, and they end up at this spot. They meet this waitress who knows that they're tripping, and she's like, do you want to get something a little more? You want to keep this trip going? I got the hookup. Go to the basketball court. My brother's friend is like the bomb dealer. He can give you whatever you need. So they're like, oh, okay. So they go to the basketball court. They meet up with the dealer. They get metafine, wait, MDMA, also known as Molly, cocaine, and I think ketamine. They get 3 different drugs. I'm like, damn, girl, you need all that? It's just the 2 of you. But anywho, so they buy all that stuff, and the French fry girl who hooks them up with the dealer invites them to a party, but Terry doesn't want to go to that party because she's like, I don't want to be around a bunch of basketball players. I want men that are my height, who have some depth and who have some character, not just tall men that I have to, something about quantum physics. And they have a cute little moment in the bathroom where they're like, yes, tonight it's about to be popping. And it was a vibe. I really like their relationship in that moment. So they're in the club, and Terry whispers to Arabella to let's go to the bathroom and get this party even more poppin'. So while they're in the bathroom, they each take a hit of Molly. Arabella has like, I don't know if she's self-destructive or if she's just doesn't know any better or what her excuse is, but either way, initially she's like, oh, let's do the cocaine or the ketamine. Let's do the ketamine. And Terry's like, no, like, we're still tripping off the weed, so let's just keep it light and take this Molly and be good with that. And so Arabella's like, sure, okay. So they each take a hit of Molly, and they go out, and they're having their drinks, and they're talking. And once again, they're having another one of these weird moments where they're like, they're having one of these weird moments where they're comparing outside, where they're comparing careers. And then they start tripping on the Molly. You know, really interesting camera work in this moment. Really interesting, like, close-ups and funky, weird shots of Michaela's face. And she's, like, her jaw is twitching. And then, you know, they just start having a good time. Music is going on. They're dancing and they're drinking and everything's fine. Arabella's acting up. She's acting up. And Terry's like, yo, you're doing too much. So Arabella goes to the bathroom, and this is when she really starts to wig out. She snorts some ketamine. She snorts some cocaine. She gets some drugs from some, like a hit of, I guess it's another hit of Molly from some random women in the bathroom. They put it on her tongue. It's like a tap. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? She's wilding out. Like, every time she goes to the bathroom, I think she goes like twice, she snorts and sniffs. I'm like, what are you doing, child? So, you know, she just is on the dance floor acting up. Terry's sitting there waiting for her. Don't know where she is. She's looking around. It starts to get to that time in the club when people are too drunk and the action is a bit messy and ridiculous. So, you know, there's like people arguing and fighting right next to Terry. So she's like, I'm getting out of here. So she does happen to find Arabella on the dance floor. Like, at first I thought she was going to leave without telling her that she was leaving, but she does find her and she says, I'm leaving. Okay. And Arabella's like, says they're gonna play Hamilton. And Terry's like, okay, bye, girl. I gotta get out of here. So Terry leaves, and she's trying to use Google to figure out how to get home, get back to the villa. And as she's walking down this dark alley, I just got like this weird, creepy feeling. And then these two men walk past her, and I felt weird about them. And then she walks past this bar, and there's two men in front of the bar. One of them goes inside and one of them hangs out outside. And as she's walking past, he starts kind of like flirting with her. And, you know, it's not like super aggressive, but he says something about liking Mountain Dew that gets her attention. So she starts talking to him, and it seems okay. You know, they are talking, and then they go inside and they start dancing. And then he goes to get her a drink, and the other guy that was outside with him starts dancing with her. And then the first guy shows up with the drinks and says, oh, you can dance with him and I'll just like watch. And that was, you know, it's rude to interrupt a dance in Italy. It's rude to interrupt a dance. So she's like, okay. So she's dancing with them, and, you know, dancing with one, the other one's watching, and she's drinking her drink. And I'm like, I don't like what's happening here. This is giving me creeper vibes, but whew. So anywho, so we go back to the club, and Arabella's coming down. She's starting to crash from all the drugs, looking for Terry. She doesn't realize that Terry's long gone. Terry's like with these random dudes. And the Italian basketball fine-ass drug dealer, who we now know is her kind of boo, not really, is there, and he sees her, and he notices that she's like kind of falling apart. So he decides to, look out for her, and he waits outside with her as the club empties out and Terry never comes out. He helps her get home. She's a mess. She is a horrible, she's just keys dropping, phone dropping, peeing in the street, dancing, just sloppy, messy. Ugh, messy. And he's like intrigued and amused and maybe partially disgusted at the same time. But either who, he makes sure that she gets home. And then when they get home, he's like, let's make sure Terry's here. She's like, if Terry's not here, I'm calling the police. And he's like, all right, let me know what is going on so I can get out of here. So she goes to knock on Terry's door, opens the door, and Terry's in there getting it on with the two dudes from the bar. Okay, Terry. No judgment. She said she wanted to fuck on that bed, so she made it happen 2 times. And Arabella's like, oh, okay. I see you're busy. So closes the door, and the Italian dude is just like, what's going on here? So they sit down. She does some more coke, invites him to do some coke with her. At least I think it's coke. It's lined up and snorted like coke. I have no idea. And he's like, oh, I don't do drugs and I barely drink. And she's like, okay, interesting. She pushes up on him and he's into it. They start kissing. She remembers she's on her period. He doesn't care. They go in the bed. They start fooling around. He digs a tampon out of her body, and that kind of ruins the moment. Takes out the sexiness for her anyway. He's all intrigued by the blood. And she's just kind of like, okay, I don't know what's up with you, but you're interesting. So, she gets dressed and he throws that shit away. Meanwhile, Terry's 2 boos are leaving. And as they're leaving, the Italian drug dealer basketball player sees them leaving and sees her. And they kind of exchange like a look. And then they both go back into the rooms. And then Arabella comes and knocks on Terry's door and says, we're about to head out. Do you and your friends want to come with us? And Terry's like, oh, we're still busy. And some child is screaming outside. She's like, we're still busy in here. So Arabella's like, okay, get it, girl. So Arabella and Italian drug dealer basketball player walk out to the beach and they watch the sunrise. And as the sun rises, they start talking. And he's like, oh, I like you. You need to stop doing drugs. He's like, my mom died of a heroin overdose. My sister died of a heroin overdose. That's why I don't do drugs. And I want you to stop doing them too. He's like, I just do this to pay the bills, but I'm not ashamed of it. I'm ashamed of it. I'm not proud of being a drug dealer. And she's like, hey, it's all good. You do what you gotta do, man. She's just very lackadaisical, like doesn't really care. And when he tells her about how she should stop doing drugs, she's like, don't be a party pooper. Just watch the sunrise. And he plays Daft Punk on his phone. And, it's kind of cute because that's like their song now in a way, because it initially had played earlier when they were together and he was trying to act like he didn't know the song, but he knew the song and she sang it to him. And that's when they had their first kiss. So, anywho, that's the end of the episode with the sun rising. And also need to mention that Terry did text Kwame about her threesome. So she seemed okay with it. Like, she seemed like proud and excited and happy that she did it. So, you know, at first I thought, did they drug her? Did she kind of get tricked into doing this? But no, she willingly was a part of it from that text. So it seems. So that was the episode, and it was a really good episode. You know, I like to focus on their friendship, and I like the flashback in time because we know that that's building to something, and it's showing you how they connected, how they related. And I think there's something about them leaving each other that is connected to what happened to both of their lives from that moment, them not staying together. I think there's something significant about that specifically, and I think it's going to come up again because it came up in episode 2. Terry referenced that time in Italy. So yeah, but it was a good episode. It was well done. So I created this new segment for my recaps, and it's called 4 Hurts, 4 Heels, and Favorite. Okay? So what it is each time I do a recap, I'm going to talk about 4 things that hurt, 4 things that healed, and my favorite thing. Now, part of the reason I'm doing that is because watching this show is very traumatic and is very intense, but it's also very beautiful and emotional and healing at the same time, because Michaela Cole turning this experience of being violated into the series is a beautiful ritual. You know, it's a really beautiful creative practice. The idea of like taking a traumatic moment and reshaping it and conjuring it and recrafting it and resculpting it into something that the world can experience and relate to and also heal from. So, you know, so 4 hurts, 4 heals, and a favorite. So the 4 things that healed in this episode were Terry and Arabella's closeness. I really love that scene when they were hugging and cuddling on the bed. That was really sweet. Another thing that healed, Arabella being in Italy, having a job where they will pay for you to go somewhere else to do that job and pay for your food and a fly place to stay. That is a life, baby. I'm like, yes, where they do that at? Let's make it happen. Being flown out of the country to do your work and have all expenses paid. That's a healing. Let's see. The third thing on my list of things that healed is B. I'm calling him B. I'm also referring to him as Italian drug dealing basketball player. B was not a shithead. He was kind of a good guy. I keep moving the camera. Sorry about that. I wrote B not being a shithead. He didn't take advantage of her. He didn't leave her hanging. He barely knew her, but he stayed with her the whole night and made sure she got home safe. He gave her privacy when she had to pee. He made sure she got home. And he might have been wanting the little something. He might have been attracted to her, but she made the first move, you know? And he didn't push it when things shifted between them from just kind of a sexiness to a friendship. He was just kind of went with the flow. And that moment when she said, "You did good tonight," I felt her in that moment because he did. So B not being a shithead. And number 4, Terry exploring her sexual side. I really appreciate her possibly being curious, wanting to do something wild in Italy. What goes on in Italy stays in Italy, wanting to fuck in that bed and finding 2 men to fuck in that bed. And she was safe, she used condoms, she did her thing, and she sent them on their way. So those are my 4 things that healed. Terry and Arabella's friendship, Arabella being in Italy, Biagio not being a shithead, and Terry exploring her sexual side. Now, the 4 things that hurt. So these are the things that hurt my feelings. The level of drugs Arabella did. Like, seriously, girl, what are you doing? Why are you taking drugs from strangers? You're wilding out. You're wilding out, Arabella. Oh, she was a mess. Um, them leaving each other in the club. I didn't like that. The creepy Italians. Even though it seemed like they didn't take advantage of her, they were still creepy to me. And the slight bit of competition between Arabella and Terry, mainly from Arabella's side. So those are the four things that hurt. The level of drugs, them leaving each other, the creepy Italians, and this tiny bit of competition between the two women. Now, my favorite thing about the episode were the clothes. Most specifically, Arabella's club outfit. That mini dress, that mini wrap dress with red and black print, and the stacked black heels. Mwah. With the purple, with the ombre purple wig. Bomb look. Really bomb. So that was my favorite thing about the episode. So yeah, so that's it. That is my recap reaction to episode 3 of I May Destroy You. And it's called Don't Forget the C, which, if you remember, is what B said to her at the end of episode 1. Not at the end, when they said goodbye, their goodbyes in episode 1. Don't forget the C. So that was their special moment, and that's where things began to grow. Ooh, my bad, y'all. Sorry for that jiggle. So anyway, please click a like button down there. Please leave a comment. What did you think about this episode? What was your favorite thing about this episode? What did you enjoy? What did you love about it? Did anything hurt you about this in this episode? Did anything heal you in this episode? Let me know in the comments and come back, because I'm about to record the reaction to episode 4. All right? Bye, guys. Thanks.